Well, the clock is ticking on how long Russell T Davies might be at Doctor Who. We've seen the rumors that Ncuti Gatwa is going to be leaving after season 2. That seems to start being validated here because what is being said is that Gatwa does not want to be there if Russell T Davies is not there. And the Disney bosses have not been excited or happy with what he's been producing so far. It's going to get even worse. And he's given a new interview on David Tennant's podcast that kind of alludes to the fact that he might be getting the axe right here, which I think is going to mean the show's going to get the axe for a little bit, at least while they regroup here. Let's talk about all things Doctor Who, everybody. Please hit the like and subscribe button. This is a science fiction channel, and I appreciate you being here. I'm a science fiction writer myself. If you like fun space opera, big swashbuckling action that Doctor Who used to be before this recent relaunch, check out my Arroz War trilogy on Amazon. These are great books, and it's a lot of fun. Everybody is absolutely thrilled that I'm going to be coming out with a new trilogy that's going to be spinning off from these later this year. So start today. It's about a human spy who embeds himself on an alien starship to bring back information towards Earth, gets caught up in ways he can't even imagine. It is on ebook, print, and audio on the description below. Thank you so much for reading and making this a success, my friends. Really appreciate you being here. Okay, so Doctor Who has been embattled with a lot of controversy ever since the return of Russell T Davies as showrunner, who seems to delight in transforming the show into something unrecognizable to longtime sci-fi viewers. Now reports are that Disney is looking at replacing him at the end of Ncuti Gatwa's second season. Interesting stuff right here. We've watched these last couple of years just be a complete train wreck ever since Davies came back for the 60th anniversary specials. When viewers tuned in expecting David Tennant and some fun to return after just a botched Jodie Whittaker era, which we thought was going to be the lowest point of the show, we got treated with a transgender Rose lecturing us about male-presenting Time Lords and making all these terrible gender ideology references the entire time. It got even worse as they cast Sir Isaac Newton as a Indian guy. Of course, the bi-generation into Ncuti Gatwa in the third episode was just very, very cringy. And it didn't stop getting worse from there. Davies went out and said it's going to upset longtime Who fans. I don't know why these people do this type of stuff. It's like, I saw this when Section 31 was coming out. Like, one of the actors was like, this is not the Star Trek that fans want. It's like, well, why are you making it? But they do this intentionally. It's actually about humiliating these properties, about just like, these people feel so bad about themselves and their own skin because they're, living their lives in these hedonistic, evil ways that they want everybody else to feel bad with them. So they have to go and torch and destroy this stuff. It's really about that. And I think that's why Russell T Davies came back. He wanted to destroy this legacy of Doctor Who, and he wanted to just push this identity politics so hard. If you looked at his interview at San Diego Comic-Con last year, he just would say that the transgender rights issues are more important than anything in Doctor Who. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Aren't you the showrunner of Doctor Who? Isn't that your literal job? Isn't that what you're getting paid to do? It's very, very odd that that's not his priority, but it's clearly not. Now, the ratings have been terrible over the last couple of years. As we know, all the specials have failed and kept failing every single time. The last season with Gatwa had some of the lowest ratings ever, and I expect those ratings drops to continue. And I think Disney knows that these ratings drops are going to continue as well, because everything we've seen about Season 2 looks even worse than Season 1. Davies hired a full slate of LGBTQ activist writers to write along with him, including Juno Dawson, who's a man who pretends to be a woman, who has a book called This Book Is Gay, who is out there like running a singing contest episode of Doctor Who. It's like, really? Then that's the episode the dude wrote? And on top of it, they're bragging that it's the most expensive to produce ever. So you're going to get a diminishing return on investment with less viewers, and you're spending even more than you did last season. And this is crazy to do in this kind of environment. You would like, if you were a sane person trying to actually like save the show and make things better, you'd be trying to like, okay, so we tried this thing. It's not what fans want. Let's at least try to like right the ship and like make it science fiction stories that are smart like we used to. At least we can give the viewers that. We've got this cast. It is what it is. And maybe we could try to produce them a little more cheaply than we did last season to try to, show that we're in good faith. That's what a sane person would do when you're having a problem like this. But this is not a sane person we're dealing with. This is a complete narcissist who's all about him. This is all about a Russell T Davies self-insert for the show. And so he appeared on David Tennant's podcast, and he was joking that he won't be back a third time once his run ends. Tennant also replies he thought he wouldn't go back a second time. Davies replied, "That's very true, but I'm not getting younger, darling." Yeah, calling David Tennant darling to signify his LGBT stuff. Now, again, if you just look at this, like the way that gay guys act in public like this stuff, calling your star and all that darling and trying to that's kind of flirty, right? Now if a dude did that to a woman actress, he'd get canceled, right? So, but nope. When you're a gay, you have no rules, and that's kind of that's why Doctor Who's a problem right now. Honestly, the best writing, the best science fiction, because I'm a science fiction writer, the writing perspective, if you have established rules and you go within those bounds, that's when you do your best work, because that's when you really flex your creativity working within the established rules. When you tell yourself there are no rules, that's often when these things go off the rails, and that's often the problem that we have with new media all the way around is there are no rules. There's not, you don't even have a set time format. Remember when TV was 42 minutes and it just had to be 42 minutes? Well, those rules kind of helped pacing. They really did. And now they don't have that. That's why a lot of these streaming shows have problems just by itself, just like without the politics element of it as well. These people don't understand that rules are good things, and they want no rules for their lives, and therefore they want no rules for their creativity as well. And that just sends things way into a spiral every single time. And this is where he kind of talks about things, and he says, I need to slow down at some point. That will come. Last time it was Stephen Moffat. That wasn't even a day's work, like right off you go. He added, there's thinking about that, there's conversations about that, but it's hard. There's conversations about that. And this is what's being honed in on right now, because with all the rumors that have been going around, the Disney bosses were not excited and not happy with their investment last season after it all ended. That came out from an insider at Disney. And with this, there's been conversations going along for a long, long time saying what's going to happen here. Now, they quickly squashed, saying that season 2 is going to be make or break. For the BBC said this when the Gatwa information came out earlier this year. And with that, it's like, but we know that, but we also know that the ratings are going to be bad, right? And so the conversations are happening about removing Davies, about removing Gatwa, about scrapping this whole thing. And that's pretty interesting on that level right there. And these conversations have been had. And I don't think that Russell T Davies will be back for another season at this point, because he's clearly pissed off the people at Disney. And it's because the investment's just not there. He said, it's hard, it's a tricky one, but they better exist. Imagine I'm dead at the desk. So he's trying to make it like, oh, I'm old and I just want to retire. Ha, 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 ha. Well, he came back intentionally. He didn't have to, of course. The guy's making money. He's got another show he's working on right now as well. So it's not that he's like really trying to do this. He's trying to mitigate the fact that fans don't like this, the execs don't like this, and he's absolutely just killed this entire show. It's really, really sad for a lot of people. The cliche would kill me. That's very funny, seeing as almost every episode of Doctor Who right now is a cliche parody episode referencing another TV show. They had an Orphan Black episode. They had a Bridgerton episode. They've got a Eurovision episode coming next season. I mean, that's all they do now. It's all cliches. It's sad. Oh, well. So Tachyon Pulse talk about this as well, and he's confirmed this stuff with other people behind the scenes that this is happening and going along. According to sources, he says Disney's behind this push, and any future showrunner would have to have Disney's blessing beyond somebody at the BBC picking this. He alleges that Michael Sheen, who appeared in The Doctor's Wife, is high up on the list of potential showrunners, and that Disney is interested in having him on board as well. There's also talk of Disney picking up the entire back catalog in Doctor Who. They've wanted that for Disney Plus because that's where the money's at. If you look at Star Trek as a franchise, Star Trek's still making money even though Kurtzman's botching all the new stuff. And it's mainly because the old Star Trek The Next Generation, TOS, Deep Space Nine, Voyager are all streaming across the world, and they pay licensing rights on those, and everybody wants those, and everybody watches those. And so that's what's doing well. So Disney, of course, wants the old Doctor Who stuff because they'd make a bundle on that. Everybody would be watching it on Disney Plus. That's a great spot. And of course, those are the classic things that people want to watch because they miss those times when TV was actually good. So this might be it. The writing's really getting to be on the wall at this point. This interview came from the David Tennant podcast. He's obviously alluding to problems there. He's admitted that the ratings were low at the end of last year. It took him a long time to do so. At first, he spun this lie saying young people were watching the show in droves. It's the highest percentage of young people ever. And but eventually he did admit that the ratings were pretty bad for this. And they made excuses. They said, oh, the iPlayer numbers haven't come in yet. But they did, and the ratings were still not there. People don't want this. The audience has rejected it. And this is a point where it's like these are way too expensive to produce. So when you have your writers out there bragging that it's more expensive than ever before, I think at that point, you get the yank. And that's exactly what's happening here. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Please hit the like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon. And also check out my science fiction for good science fiction, my friends, in the description below. Nothing bloated here. A lot of fun. I appreciate you guys all reading. It's also on audiobook for those who prefer that way. And we'll be back.